Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading for the week of February 17th to the 21st. All right, so let's get started here. Just a quick disclaimer before we dive into it. This is for educational purposes only. And trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. Sorry, I'm in this long weekend mode here. Let's dive into work here. Okay, so for this coming up week, actually before we dive into the news here, one thing to keep in mind here is that we're seeing the couple of things actually. One, around the coronavirus. So we have seen the market go kind of back and forth in regards to how bad the things are and what kind of impact to expect from this. So right now, there is no cure found, and that is problematic. But also, we are finding that there's a lot of stuff coming out of China in regards to there's discontent with the way things are being handled there. There are issues coming up in regards to the leadership and how they handle the issues and how they are basically controlling the internet and so forth. So I don't think anything really huge will come of it, but as we see more concerns surface, it could lead to problems. So just keep that in the back of your mind as you're trading. Another thing that we saw last week was around the whole Brexit thing. Even though Brexit has happened now, we saw that the UK finance minister stepped down because Prime Minister Boris Johnson had asked him to fire his advisors, and instead of doing that, he actually chose to step down, and now we have a new person in his place. So the significance of that is that Prime Minister Johnson is going to get what he wants in regards to the spending, and they want to spend more on infrastructure and programs like that. So basically putting more money into the economy, which is generally good for the currency, and that's why we have seen British pound go up as a result of that. So those are a couple of the key things that we see going on here. Actually, just before we continue on, can everybody hear me properly? There is a comment that there's no sound. Okay, so sound is good, perfect, thank you. So looks like it may be at just one person's end. Okay, so those are the two main things that we need to keep in mind as a result of the that shift there in the UK. British pound has gone up, and we could see it. We could see basically strength in it from that perspective. So let's go into our news here coming up for this week. Starting off here, we do have monetary policy meeting minutes from Australia here. So right now, with this one, it's already been said and done last week, but with these kind of comments, what we are looking for, or meeting minutes, what we are looking for is concerns around coronavirus, especially for Australia and New Zealand, because they are big trade partners with China. Any impact on Chinese economy will be reflected in both New Zealand and Australian economies, and also it will have a negative impact on oil as well, because China is a big consumer of all the commodities, and as a result, any downfall in the economy will be reflected in the commodities. So that's what we are looking at here. If there is concern expressed around there, that will be negative for Australian dollar, and we could see a drop. We saw that Reserve Bank of New Zealand wasn't too concerned about it, but Reserve Bank of Australia has expressed concerns. So now that's what we are basically looking for, to see if there is more of that, and if we see that, that will be negative for Australian dollar. And then going into Tuesday here, we have German ZEW economic sentiment numbers here. It's supposed to be lower than the previous number. Now, if it comes even lower than this, then we could see euro drop further. So euro has been dropping for quite some time now, for a number of weeks here, and if the numbers continue to keep on coming negative or below expectations, we could see a further drop. But we'll take a look at the charts in just a bit on that. And then we also have the US data here, Empire State Manufacturing Index, that could cause concerns here for the US. And then wage price index here for Australia. It's expected to come in as the previous numbers, the same as the previous numbers. And if that's the case, I would not expect much of a difference in terms of the Australian dollar here. Now, coming up on Wednesday, we have CPI numbers, which are the inflation numbers. We also saw that Bank of England wasn't really too concerned about the state of UK economy. And if we see that the inflation numbers are as expected, which are supposed to be higher than the previous numbers, then that would be good for British pound. So already we are seeing from the budget perspective, it's giving a lift to the British pound. And then if we see the numbers come in positive on top of that, we could see British pound climb up higher. And then we have CPI numbers, same here for Canada as well. And Canada will be interesting here because we'll have to see how the oil prices will impact the Canadian economy here. So right now, it's supposed to be slightly higher than the previous numbers, but if they come in as expected, that would actually be good for the Canadian dollar. But if they are below expectations, then we are likely to see Canadian dollar drop as a result. And then we also have these building permit numbers here for the US. Building permits are more important nowadays because after all that 2008 fiasco with the real estate market, these numbers basically show the state of the economy. If the building permits are higher, that means the economy is looking good and builders have confidence that it will hold up. So that's why these numbers are important. And we have a bunch of FOMC members speaking. We also have FOMC meeting minutes here. So this one, we also heard, like Fed had actually said that or expressed concerns in regards to the coronavirus. They were not too worried about it at this point, but Fed had said that they could see an impact on the economy if this issue continues. And in that case, if we see that there are concerns about it, which means then Fed is likely to cut rates or expand the monetary policy, which will be negative for the US dollar, positive for the stock market, but negative for the US dollar. So keep that in mind, but generally FOMC meeting minutes can move the market. And so keep an eye on the US dollar there. We also have employment numbers here for Australia. Right now, we are looking for a bit of a decline here. So if it drops below that, that would be negative for Australian dollar and vice versa there. Thursday, we have retail sales numbers here. Again, if we keep seeing positive numbers coming up for pound, it is going to push the British pound up even further. We also have ECB monetary policy meeting minutes here. Same thing as FOMC. So 2 central banks back to back here, or 3 this week actually. So with this one, so ECB has been kind of dovish on the economy, and they have expressed concerns over it, and that's why euro has been dropping. So if they continue with the same type of commentary, we are likely to see a further drop here in the euro. However, if they turn around and they say the economy is going to be okay and things are looking up, that will be positive for the euro. So keep an eye on that. And Friday is a full day with the PMI numbers from euro, from UK, as well as from the US. So expect volatility on Friday here. PMI numbers are the leading indicators. They are the purchasing managers index, which means if the purchasing managers are buying more stuff, that means they have confidence that they will be able to sell more stuff. And it shows that the economy is doing well if they are positive, and it's expected to continue doing well. So these numbers are usually very, very important numbers to keep an eye on, because if they come in positive, that means the retail numbers and the our GDP numbers will come in positive as well. So same thing here. If we see numbers go up here, that will be positive for the currencies. If not, they will be negative. And things like the British pound here, if we see positive numbers continue, again, it can really push the price up for the for British pound. And core retail sales numbers here for Canada. So overall, Friday could be a volatile day. And then we have a bunch of FOMC members speaking here as well. So a lot of activity into the latter part of the week here. So let's go on to our charts. And it looks like I don't have my charts up. So just bear with me here. I'll bring my platform up. I seem to have. Okay, so with the, oops. I've got a lot of charts there. Okay. No wonder my computer gets gets slow because I've got tons of charts. Just give me a minute here. Okay, here we go. So as usual, we'll start off with our euro dollar here. And we see that price has really dropped here. It has gone through this support level. And now we are on to into this support here. So price has not been at this level since 2017. And now ever since it broke through this support here, we are seeing this continued movement to the downside. So bias here is bearish. I am looking for price to drop further. Now keep in mind, when we have such big drops here, we could see price pull back as well. So keep the pullbacks in mind, because we could see something like this and then a further drop. So bias here is bearish. And in terms of the pullback, we can look at 1.0880 or even 1.0900 as the pullback level, and then looking for a further move to the downside here. So first target is 1.0720 level, and then we're looking at 1.0580 level. So there's a fair bit of room to the downside here, but we also have the ECB coming out this week. So be prepared for that, because anytime the central bankers or meeting minutes come out, that can change the price move here. But overall bias is to the downside for euro dollar. Pound here, on the other hand, has gone up. So if we take a look at our weekly here, it's pulled back. It did break through the support here, but it's pulled back since then. And now it has pretty much gone through half of this move to the downside. So with this one, we'll have to wait and see. It is into resistance, but we could see price go all the way to the top of this range. So if you take a look at it, this is where price has been trading for last little while here. For a few weeks, it's just been stuck in this range. It rejected the bottom of the range, so it could go higher. However, it could also just be a pullback for a continuation to the downside. So this is why we just need to be careful a little bit. For now though, bias is to the upside. So target is 1.3220 into the high here, but just keep in mind this level at 1.3080. If it gets stuck here, we could see a move to the downside like that. But for now, bullish bias for pound dollar. 1.3220 is the first target, and then it could go higher into 1.1380 1.3300 or even all the way into 1.3350. So I would say bullish bias for now. First target is the top of the range, and then we'll see how it reacts at the top of the range. So bias is bullish for now, but with caution because it could turn around where it is, or even into 1.3100. It can just turn around from there because it could just be a pullback. So for now, bullish bias for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, this one has dropped. As we can see, it pulled back, and at this point it is into this resistance level. And in terms of our bias here, bias is still to the downside, but watch out for the pullback. So if price holds below 0.6750, then I'm looking for it to drop further. And in terms of the targets, we are into the moves or into levels that we haven't seen for quite some time. So price could be coming into some important support levels. So bear that in mind. Okay, so let's go back here. So bearish bias here. Pullback level is where it is currently, 0.6750. If it holds below, I'm looking for a further move to the downside. So this is the test level, back test level here. As long as it holds below, bias will still be to the downside. So the first target is 0.6600, and then we're looking at 0.6450. So bias is bearish here for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one is the same thing. It's been kind of stuck in this range here for this week. This one as well is into support. As we can see, support turning into resistance here. So if price holds below 6480, then I'm looking for a move to the downside. But with this one as well, same as for Australian dollar, if it goes through the high of the week, then this one could continue further. For now, bias will stay to the downside as long as price is holding below this 0.8, let's say 8500, and then I will look for a drop. So bearish bias here for New Zealand dollar as well, and that's the move I'm expecting. First target 0.6320, second target 0.6250, looking for price to move back into the support levels here. Dollar CAD here, this one has gone back and forth. We do see that price has rejected this resistance level. It's been struggling with this for a bit now. So bias is to the downside. Now price is into support, so keep that in mind. This is an important support resistance level, but once it gets through that, we are looking for 1.3200 is the next target, and then below that we have 1.3050. So bias is bearish for dollar CAD as well. So here we have an interesting thing. Usually the commodity currencies tend to move together. So generally when we have Australian, New Zealand dollar looking bearish, dollar CAD tends to look positive. But now everything is looking bearish, which means one of them one of those are not in line, and it could turn around. So that's something to keep in mind. Either Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar could go up, or we could see Canadian dollar turn around. So just the relationship to keep in mind. But for now, bias is bearish here. This is a strong resistance, so I'm looking for a drop. 1.3200 is the target, first target. 1.3050 is the second target. Euro pound here, Euro pound has been bearish here, especially with British pound going up. So when pound tends to jump up, we see that Euro pound tends to sell, which pushes the euro down further. So bias here is bearish. And this one as well is into levels that we haven't seen for some time here since 2016. And we are right into that support level here, getting close to it. So watch out for that because things can turn around, but we do have a strong bearish candle here. So bias is bearish, and our target, in terms of the target, we are looking at 0.8180 as the first target, and then below that we have 0.8080. So bias here is bearish, and 0.8180 as the first target, and then 0.8080 as the second target. Let's take a look at our Swiss franc crosses here. This one also looking bearish. price is into some important support levels. This is where it is right now, but it has broken through the support level. So bearish bias here. And in terms of target, let's take a look at, we have 1.0530. And then 1.0420. So bias here is bearish for Euro Swiss franc as well, 1.0530 and then 1.0420 as the two targets to the downside. Pound Swiss franc, this one has actually gone up with British pound being strong across the board here. Bias is bullish here. Now it is coming into resistance, so keep that in mind, but bias is bullish. In terms of the pullback, we could get a pullback into 1.2750 and then the further move to the upside here. So the move that I would look for would be something like this. And if it goes through this level, we're looking at 1.2950. So targets at 1.2870 and then 1.2950 for pound Swiss franc, bullish bias there. Dollar Swiss franc has also gone up here. We have a nice bullish candle close. It's broken through this level that it was stuck in. This was the range it was trading in for some time now, and it's broken out of that range. So bias is bullish. Now do keep in mind there is a support resistance level not that far. So first target here is 0.9850, and then the second target is 0.9920. So bias here is bullish for dollar Swiss franc. Let's take a look at the yen crosses here. Actually, we'll start with pound yen here. So pound yen is into resistance, but we do have a nice bullish candle close. So this one could go higher. First target is 1.4450. And then if it goes through that, there is 1.4570 is the second target here. So bias is bullish. But keep in mind, we are into resistance, so price could turn here. And if it holds below 1.4360, it could come back towards the bottom of this range that it's been trading in here. But it looks bullish at the moment, so bias is bullish. 144.50 is the first target. 145.80 is the second target for pound yen. Euro yen has been dropping. We have a nice bearish candle close. Last time we had a nice pin bar and we saw a follow through. Now bias is still bearish here. It is into support, so just be careful with that. But the next target here is 118.20. And then below that, we've got 117. So bias is bearish for Euro yen. Okay, dollar yen. Dollar yen is rejecting the resistance here. So we have a small candle close, but as we can see, price seems to be churning here. So here I am neutral on this, but I think this one could, as long as it holds below 110, we could see this one drop back towards the bottom of the range. As we can see for the last little while, it's just been going back and forth. So I'm just looking for price to go into 108.30. But if it holds, because it is into resistance right here, as we can see there's support resistance. So if it holds above, it could continue further. So my bias at this moment for dollar yen is neutral. I'm just going to look at what happens at 109.50. If price goes through 109.50, then I'm looking for 108.30. But if it goes to the upside, if it goes through 110, then I'm looking for 111. So we just need to wait and see how price reacts to this level. Aussie yen here, this one has been going kind of sideways here, hasn't really done a whole lot for the last couple of weeks. It's just been trading in the same range that it's been in. Now, it did react to this resistance. It's holding below 74.30. And as long as it holds below 74.30, I would look for a move back down towards 72.50. Now, as a result of this, my bias here is neutral, because if it goes through the high here, it could continue higher all the way into 76. So the important level to watch here will be 74.30. And a lot of this with the yen crosses, especially, and Swiss franc crosses as well, what's happening is the reaction or the sentiment in the overall markets. So we keep going back and forth between this risk on, risk off scenarios. Every time there are concerns that surface around coronavirus, equity markets drop, and then we go into this risk off mode, and our safe haven assets like Japanese yen strengthen, and we see a drop in all the yen crosses. And then the next day the market turns around and everything is all positive. So we see these ones go up. So we just have to keep an eye on what the developments are around the market sentiment in regards to the coronavirus. Any more fears that come into the market will result in the yen crosses dropping. And when market's positive, we'll see that yen crosses will go up. That's why we just need to watch and see how the wind blows, essentially. So again, like I said, below 74.30, I would look for 72.50. If it goes through this level, it could go all the way into 76 and even higher into 76.60. So for now, neutral bias for Aussie yen. New Zealand yen here, same thing. We see from the daily chart, we see that price is just kind of trading in this range here. It rejected this resistance. Now it's in the middle of the range, which means we could see a drop here. But looking at it from the weekly perspective, we do see that price is into resistance, and bias here is neutral. It's still holding below this 71.30. So as long as it holds below the 71.30, we could see price move lower here towards the support level at 69. So at this point, bias is neutral. First target would be 70, and then we're looking at about 69. But if it goes through this resistance, there is plenty of room to the upside. We could see price go into 72.20. And then if it continues on, we could see it go into 73.50. So at this point, the critical level would be the 71.30. If it holds below, I would look for a move lower. But bias for now is neutral. CAD yen here, this one has moved up here. It is into support resistance at the moment. So keep that in mind. And it does look bullish. So next target would be 84 and then 84.50. But same thing here, if it holds below this level here at 83.20, we could see price drop. So right now, it's just a matter of how the market sentiment unfolds. And that's where the yen crosses will adjust to the market sentiment. All right, so let's go on to our commodities. So silver and gold, same thing, they are moving with market sentiment. We have seen back and forth move from both gold and silver. Right now, price is towards the bottom of this range where it's been trading. It is into support, and we see that it has pulled off of the support. Now, we could see something like this. Basically, it's neutral. It's still range bound. It's been stuck within this range for a number of weeks now, and it's still within that range. So this is the type of move I am expecting. We could see a drop towards 17.42 and then move back towards 18.15. So bias here is neutral for silver. Gold here has moved up. So gold came into test the support resistance level, and now we have a bullish candle close here. So we could see price go up further. First target here is 15.95 and then 16.14. So bias here is bullish, but again, this one has been stuck in this range for last 4 weeks here. So we could see price turn from the high. So just keep that in mind. If it does not go through through 1594 level here, it could turn back down. So that would be the caution. For now though, bias is bullish, and first target 1595. And if it goes through that, we're looking at 1614 as the second target. Oil here, oil's finally moving up here. Price wasn't able to break their support here. This is an important support and it's been respected. So we do have a bullish candle close. Now, again, it is into resistance as well. So we'll just have to be cautious here, but bias is bullish. Next target is 54.70. And then above that, we're looking at 55.80. So bias here is bullish. The caution here would be because it's into resistance, it could literally just turn around here as well. So just be cautious of that, but overall bias is bullish. Copper here, copper has pulled back here as well, but again, it is into some support and resistance, strong support and resistance level. So if it holds below that, we could see a drop, but right now it does look bullish. So if it goes through this resistance, next target is 2.64, and then above that we are looking at 2.68. So bullish bias here for copper. Bitcoin, I actually don't have the weekend numbers for Bitcoin here. It is bullish at the moment, but it is into resistance, so we could see price turn around. But overall bias is bullish. If it goes through this resistance, we could see it go higher, but it could get stuck here and we could see price turn back down as well. So I would say bias is bullish for now, but with caution. So next target is 10,900. 10,950 here. So next, beyond that, we are looking at 11,720. So bullish bias for now for Bitcoin. Equity markets. Equities have been going up like you wouldn't believe. So it's getting interesting because it's just been one-way street to the upside. We have strong bullish candle close here. So bias is bullish. I would be cautious with this one here, but this is more in the short term, this is looking bullish, but in the long term, I think when things start to heat up so much and we see that markets go up very, very strongly, we could see that it tends to be, we kind of start getting into a bubble and things could change, but that's more slightly longer term here. In the short term though, based on the weekly here, this is looking bullish and we could see a further move to the upside. So pullback would be into 33.30 and then looking for a further move to the upside. So bias here is bullish for S&P 500. 3,400 is the next target and 3,450 would be the second target for S&P 500. NASDAQ here, same thing. It's looking quite bullish. It's holding above this 9,500 level here. And as long as it holds above that, it is bullish. So beyond that, we are looking at 9750 here and potentially into 9800. So bias here is bullish for NASDAQ as well. And let's just mark it with this level. So as long as it stays above 9500, bias is bullish. So the move that we can expect to see here would be something like this. And as long as the equity markets are bullish, our safe haven assets generally will drop. And then we have Dow Jones here. That one is not completely, or it's not as strong as these other ones are. Prices into resistance. It hasn't broken through the high here, but it is a bullish candle close and we could see price go higher. For pullback, we could either get a pullback into 29,380 or it could come all the way into this 29,000 and then a further move to the upside here. So bias is bullish and this is what I would look for. 30,000 is the next target for Dow Jones here. And then DAX here, DAX is looking bullish as well. As we can see, prices into all-time highs here as well. So looking quite strong here. And in terms of our pullback, we could look for a pullback into 13,600 level, and then looking for a further move to the upside here. Target is 14,000. So that's where I will target here and move. This is the move I'm looking for. So pull back into 13,600 potentially, and then a further move into 14,000. So bullish bias here for DAX as well. And FTSE actually is not as strong as the other ones. This one, we have a bearish candle close. So we have a pin bar here, looking for it to drop further. Now it is into support right where it is, so just be mindful of that, but bias is bearish. And next target here is 72.50. So looking for a move back down. This is where it seems to be trading in this range now. So looking for a move back towards 72.50 level. So bearish bias here for FTSE here. And last but not least, we have Nikkei. Nikkei has actually moved down here as well. So US markets are doing better than other markets here. So we have a pin bar here, our bearish pin bar for Nikkei, which means this one could drop further. And in terms of the target here, we are looking at 23,200 as the first target, and then 22,600 630 as the second target. So bias here is bearish for Nikkei. So a couple of equity markets are turning around, but the rest of them are still looking bullish. Now, some of this is coming from the intervention from the banks. So they're pumping money, providing liquidity. Chinese, the Public Bank of China, or People's Bank of China, sorry, is putting, PBOC is putting money into the markets. They're trying to keep the equity markets supported so that the stock market doesn't crash. And we are seeing, of course, the Fed has been providing liquidity into the market. They're putting money into the market and buying up securities. That's also keeping all this positive sentiment in the markets. So overall, basically, the main theme will be if the coronavirus issues become a more forefront, that can push the equity markets down. Otherwise, overall, they're looking quite bullish, which means our safe haven assets would drop. So just keep an eye on this risk on, risk off environment, because we are seeing basically sentiment shift day to day. So that's all for today. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will be back again tomorrow with the daily market analysis. So I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.